everyone. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Coons Ford presents the Sports Maven. And by now, we've all heard the news. I guess everybody, I got the whole Terp Talk crew here with Todd Carton, Wayne Viner, and Mason. It's up on terptalk.com. It's up on YouTube. But this morning, we're on the Sports Maven. Guys, I guess the fan base got what it wished for. They wanted Turgeon out. And it was from almost A to Z. And when I was sitting there with Mason the other day, and I heard this like thunderous comment, all right, that what is that? I said to Mason, what are they saying? And he said, fire Turgeon. And when that happened, it started to go through my mind. And my first comment is this, and I'm going to let everybody give their share of it. I think there was a lot of pressure on Damon, a lot of pressure. The fact the soccer team got knocked out, the hockey team didn't win, those are minor things in comparison. But there's been a lot of losses this fall. And I think that the natives were restless. I mean, football got that bowl, thank heavens. All right. But it was still a 6-6 season. Wayne, I'll start with you, buddy.
Everybody had lost faith in this program. People who put the money up don't want to go to the games anymore. They're picked to win just a handful of games the rest of the season. There's no offense. The 11th year of excuses. The press conferences have become tired. They're a joke. Everybody's terrific. Can't get it done. There's no offense to speak of. The number one recruit that they crowed about getting who can shoot the ball, they can't find a way for him to get on the court. He transfers out on Thursday. You become a joke. This is a high-profile gig with some good players, and they can't figure out how to run an inbounds pass again.
Todd,
it's more the
ahead.
Again than it is what happened. It's wash, rinse, and repeat. And I'll go over to Todd Carton, who's seen a lot of this up close.
Well, it's interesting because I was talking to some friends who were at the game Wednesday, I guess it was Wednesday night, and they said that even the students were booing Turgeon when he came out on the court. That's a really bad sign. And Wayne, when you talk about struggling to run inbounds passes, you guys may remember, and I think it was the Wisconsin game that they lost a few years ago. And I was texting or calling you guys. I went ballistic. I think that's the moment, frankly, that Turgeon completely lost any faith I had in, for me personally, that I had in him. Gained a little bit back with the way he handled the team late last year. But this year has been, based on the expectations and the way they've promoted the team, this year's been just a disaster.
Yeah, I can't go that far, but the expectations were high and the results were not there. I think the George Mason loss was very, let's call it problematic. Mason, the youth of the group, your take, I think you might have seen this coming more than any of us.
I have a question for Mason to lead him in. You said you've been to a lot of games in your 20 years on this planet. And what's the one thing you haven't actually heard or been part of was?
At Maryland, at least, fans booing any coach. I've yet to see that. Now, there were some fire Edsel chants when Maryland lost to Virginia at the end of his first year, but I really have not seen a crowd as ignited in booing a coach as the scene was on Wednesday night. And no, I'll tell you guys this, no kid my age is committing to a program where the coach is getting booed. It becomes impossible to recruit. You can't bring anybody new in. And let's face it, Maryland, while a wealthy school overall, has few and far between big money athletic donors. And when those handful of people want a coach gone, that coach is going to be gone. I think this was the case. The crowds haven't been there. The support for the team isn't there. And really, this is a result of just years of frustration. Maryland used to not really be the most talented basketball team, but a well-coached one. Under Turgeon, it's just hasn't been that. It's been the reverse. They've been very talented, and the coaching just has not been there.
I'm not going to sit there and take his side because he's already gone. It doesn't really matter anymore. I don't think it was that bad. I really don't. He won a lot of games in the Big Ten, devoted his life to the Terps winning, did everything humanly possible that he could. But here's the bottom line: we kept coming up short. We kept Wayne. How many games have you and me traveled to that we lost? In other words, when I said that you and me and Mason too only go to games that have significance. We don't travel to games. Uh, Maybe I do a little bit to make sure we win. I know I went to Northwestern and I went to, of course, I went to a lot of games under Gary that we always won for the most part. But it's like we go to Barclays Center, we go to Indiana, we go to Chicago. I mean, how many times do we come home disappointed, Wayne?
I'd rather focus on the ones like the Michigan State game where Maryland unexpectedly won with a great comeback.
I was there.
The Turgeon methodology of having a great point guard and who's going to make all the rest of the ills go away evaporated when he doesn't have that player. That one true elite player, the fact that he doesn't have a system has become quite apparent. There were no great recruits on the board for Mark Turgeon coming in.
Mason Viner has said that to me often this year, that he doesn't have what makes him win, and that's Melo Trimble, Anthony Cowan. They won with those guys. They didn't win enough. They didn't go to the next level. But you can't tell me they weren't competitive, because they were.
This isn't about the fact that he won 57.1% of his games in the Big Ten. It isn't about the fact they finished in the top 4. This isn't, if that was football, and I think we've all had this conversation, if Mike Locksley wins 57.1% of his games at Maryland, he probably gets a statue in front of the stadium. But Turgeon, you got to win. This basketball and lacrosse, you got to win. This happened with your guy in lacrosse 10 years ago. They just couldn't win the national championship, and they had to make a change.
No, Dave Cottle was told, you don't make the Final Four, we're making a move. I think Final Four is more or less the standard of lacrosse.
In lacrosse and basketball, you got to actually make the Sweet 16, and they couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. And at the end, the pained Mark Turgeon. I encourage you all to go back and find that press conference. The man was at a complete loss the other night. He had it. So, yeah,
I think that contributed too, Wayne. I think that contributed to this mutual decision for both of them.
It was mutual decision for Damon Evans. I'm not sure.
Obviously, Damon is the primary mover here, but I'm getting the feeling that Turgeon probably didn't push back too hard to keep the job. With regard to that, and Bruce and I talked last night as I was coming home from the women's game, and I said that the interesting thing is that if you set aside the postseason failures and look at Turgeon's overall record at Maryland, it's very much in line with what Maryland got out of Gary Williams and Lefty Driesell, just in terms of wins and losses. It's where it's not getting to the making any progress in the Big Ten tournament. It's losing never getting to the Sweet 16 in Maryland. Maryland had that incredible run under Gary Williams where they made 10 straight or 12 straight NCAA tournaments. But you all except for Mason have been around long enough to remember when people would complain about Gary Williams, we're never getting past the Sweet 16. He's a Sweet 16 coach. We're never getting past it. And as I've said on many occasions, that was true until the 2 years that it wasn't true. And then it was true after that.
All right. I want to switch real quick. We got about 8 minutes left in this segment. Who's next? All right, we're going to go around the horn. Who is next? Who's the guy to replace the guy who replaced the legend? The guy who replaces the legend has a tough time of making it happen. Turgeon was always haunted by the shadow of Gary Williams' success.
Yeah, nobody's going to be haunted by Turgeon.
Nobody's going to be haunted by Turgeon. All right. Nobody's going to
Bruce's
say,
big fear is that you will be, and you'll look back and go, that was pretty good when Turgeon was here. We were top 4 Big Ten team. You got to go up from here. You can't go sideways. Mason looks into this stuff nonstop. Who's on your holiday wish list for the Maryland Terrapins?
Guys, I gotta say it. I don't really have a coach that I really want here. Now the names are being thrown around all over the place, but
who's
when I
being
look at
thrown
it,
around,
you know,
Mason? Who
Kevin
has been-
Willard is one that a lot of people are
I
looking
like
at.
him.
And then the guy that I really want to see, and I can't believe I'm saying that, is Rick Pitino. Maryland will win if Rick Pitino's their coach.
How old are you, Bruce?
71.
How old's
I
Rick
need a Rick-
Pitino?
I need a Rick Pitino. I hate him, but I got news for you. I don't care about it. It's not who I like or not. It's about who could win. And Rick Pitino, if for so, hey, Larry Brown, I'd bring him back. All right.
Todd,
No,
you know
I
a
don't
lot of
want-
the
I don't want
inside
a up-and-comer.
politics.
I don't want an
Mhm.
up and comer. I want somebody of that nature, not Larry Brown, but of that nature that can make it happen right away. And I don't know if he's there. And again, what I'm afraid is that we're going to have some mid-major make a great run, and that's going to be the guy that they select. All right, from a mid-major, give him
Okay, so let's
and a
go over
half
who
a
actually
year.
is on this list. The Ryan Odom, he was at UMBC. He's out west now. Does he make your list, Todd?
I don't think so. I think if this move had happened last year, Ryan Odom would be on my list. I don't think he's coming back. I think and I don't think he'd be, the fans would be happy with Ryan Odom. I don't think they'd like the style of play.
Not a big enough name. It's
Right? If you
not
could get,
enough
you
to-
wanted
listen.
Ray Lewis at one point to be the Maryland football coach because of the name recognition. Would you take Steve Blake if Maryland could get
Not
him
ready.
as your basketball coach?
He's not ready. He's not ready. And I wish Juan Dixon was ready, but he's not. You need someone who's had a less the Final Four, who's looking for a job and looking to move. Maybe who's fits that bill because what I don't know if Petito could get past all the stuff that happened, in his career. I don't know if they could turn their eyes to that. He was involved in some pretty heavy stuff. I don't know. I really don't know, but I do know one
Who's
thing.
your pick then?
My pick right now, I don't have. I've got to think about it. And I was in love with Shaka Smart for a while. He went to Texas. He didn't do much. I was disappointed. The name will come to me. I don't have it right now, but I want to tell you something. There's no question that Damon's job, his history with his university is on the line with this pick. I think you'll all agree with that. Loxley looks like it might work out. It's, making the bowl in his third year. Mason tells me they're going to win 7 or 8 games next year. If he's on that trend, if he's on that cycle, he's going to work out. He's got to get a guy in here. He's got to get a guy in here who can take us to the Sweet 16 next year. All right. Or maybe in 2 years. There's no waiting time.
Okay.
So you're telling me, Bruce, that Damon's job is not on the line with hiring a new women's soccer coach?
No, it's not. All right. It's not.
All right. Well, here's a name that's come up.
All right.
The young man who is at George Mason, the guys at Tennessee like him. What's his name, Mason?
Oh, just Kim English?
Kim English.
No chance. That's not a big enough name. Maryland has got to finally act like they're the program that with the stadium that reflects it. Maryland has an on-campus, nearly 18,000 seat basketball stadium. And Wayne, I've said this to you. I think I've said this to everybody that we have here. What school with the size stadium that Maryland has would accept the results that we've seen under Mark Turgeon? And the list is nearly none. I'll throw another one out there, and it would take a lot of money. It would take a lot, but it's Rick Barnes, who's long been known as a Maryland guy, the coach at Tennessee right now. Do the Terps have a shot? Really, how can you use this hire to prove that Maryland is a top 15 basketball job? That is where I think many people see this program as what it belongs as.
Hey, there's a couple.
You hit a key point though, Mason, and that's money. I mean, because even as a basketball program. Mark Turgeon was in the middle of the Big Ten in his salary. He made a little under $3 million a year, but there are 5 or 6 guys in the Big Ten who make more than Mark Turgeon. And the question is, can Maryland afford a Rick Barnes? Can they make that splashy hire? Do they have the money to do it?
What's the name? I've heard some strange names are right out there, and you got, Bruce Pearl maybe. No, I'm just throwing names.
And
Bruce
I'm just
Pearl.
instant reaction is he's too dirty. They're not going to hire him.
Okay. That's one of the problems with hiring somebody with a long history. That there's usually baggage. We know there's no baggage with Turgeon. I'll give him that. At least, I don't know of any baggage. Never heard of any baggage. But a Bruce Pearl. I had a couple other names just slip my mind. But
Okay. Well, while you're thinking of that, I got a call from a Maryland insider that said, what if Danny Manning actually wins some games and brings in a Keith Gatlin or somebody as an assistant and makes this more of a Maryland program? One of the problems is there's no Maryland guys on that bench. It might just take 1 or 2 to mollify the big donors. Biggest point is whoever it is, you got to win.
And I think that there's something to that, and I'll point it out right now. Bino Ranson leaves this program, and what happens the next year? Turgeon's gone. Maryland likes Maryland guys. Mike Loxley, one of the reasons why I think he's even still around at this point, I'll throw it out there, is he's a Maryland guy. People know that he's respected around here, that he can recruit around here. The biggest knock on Turgeon, say whatever you will about what was on the court, is they can't recruit their own state. If you can recruit Maryland in basketball, you'll win a lot of games. But they brought in kids like the Mitchell twins that absolutely did not work out and haven't worked out anywhere else. And really, you look at it, they got Jalen Smith. That's really it. Morcell, big Baltimore guy, but he's not top tier like the players around here are. He's a really good basketball player, but he's no top 10 players like what you get around here.
When you talk about being a Maryland guy, Mason, it's interesting because one of the other areas that Turgeon clearly lacked in was engaging former Maryland guys. I talked to a bunch of ex-Maryland basketball players, and they say, Turgeon he doesn't reach out to us. He doesn't seem to want us involved in the program. And that is so important in terms of building the loyalty of
Todd. It is, but we're up against the wall here. Bruce, take her home.
we got a lot more to talk about. We'll do it on Terp Talk on Wednesday night. And, it's the speculation begins. And we're still going to find out about what's going to happen with football, which is crucial. But the news is official. Mark Turgeon is out. We'll be back in a few minutes here on Coons Ford Presents the Sports Maven.